What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the turbo element build, and we're going to be buttoning it up. I mean, it's going to be in the span of today and tomorrow, but it's going to be in one video because today we're going to do the oil catch can, and SI provided the part that I needed to complete the catch can yesterday. So this right here is a package from PLM. If you guys don't know, private label MFG is actually 40 minutes from me, and I guess you can call them local. So this package actually came in pretty quickly, so let's show you guys what's inside. Cut away from yourself, not toward yourself. This right here is a vented oil cap from PLM, and it is for the K series. This is the V3 version, and I told him to buy this the other day just to simplify the oil catch can install. Instead of pulling the valve cover off, cleaning it thoroughly, and then welding two bungs on it, so we decided to get the vented oil cap just to simplify the installation like I mentioned, and this right here is what it is. It's funny that this already came kind of assembled, but anyways, so it comes with a ripped o-ring. That's not supposed to be like that. That's kind of weird. It's supposed to have two o-rings, which is one for the bottom and one for the top. And then this right here is the vented oil cap, which goes onto the valve cover, and then the oil cap itself is what secures this onto the valve cover itself. Now this piece, you can take it off and move it left or right depending on which side your catch can sits at. So it looks like we're gonna have to change it because I kind of already have an idea where the catch can is going to sit. So let's go ahead and just switch it over now. It may sound like I'm plowing through this, but really I'm just trying to get to work because I kind of came out here a little bit late today. So 2 Allen keys, and that'll release the bottom part of this vented oil cap, so you can turn it around, right, to reposition the dash 10s. Give it a nice snug tug. All right, just like that. So in part of the vented oil cap, we have this catch can provided by BullBoost. Big shout out to BullBoost once again. They came onto the channel not too long ago with some of the parts that we are running on Project Blueberry, and also the intake manifold, fuel rail, throttle body system that's in the turbo element build. This right here is a taller catch can than the one they originally sent me, and that is, I want to say it's this one here, BullBoost. This right here is the smaller version of the catch can that BullBoost provided, and they also included everything to run this, which is right here. We have the little filter that goes on the top of the catch can if you decide to run it. We have the adapter to convert the fittings over to dash 10s, or if you want to stay rocking like vacuum lines and barb fittings, they provided those as well too. With the dash 10s, they did also provide the nylon braided lines for that. This is what we're going to be using today. So with that being said, let's get into the engine bay of the element and start with the vented oil cap. Simple enough. Pop this off. Give it a little brake clean. Give it a little cleaning because that is pretty dirty. This goes on simple enough, just like that. And then this is also preference to whichever side you're going to be running your catch can to, obviously, right? So this is going to face the driver's side for me. And oil cap. Okay, this is a little much for my fingers. Okay, well, hopefully next time they design it with like ridges on it or something so you can actually grip the oil cap. But regardless, I think this was still secure. Okay, and now we have 2 dash 10 lines to go to the breather catch can. Before we build our line, we need to obviously mount our catch can, and before we do that, let's assemble it really quickly. We are going to run the filter on the top, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull this cap off right here. And then there is a barb in their kit. I want to say it's one of these, possibly, with an O-ring. Give it a nice little snug tug. Pretty much, it just goes right on top. I'd rather run this small little filter catch can setup than to not run one at all. But also, this car is not going to be making a gang of power, so you don't need like an overkill catch can. Let's go ahead and mount up the fittings for the dash 10s, because we are running dash 10s. That'll be this one here. Does come with its own, no idea what this is. Feels like plastic, but I guess we're just gonna put that on there like so. So that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna run the little drain back because this can literally just comes apart, and if there is oil in here, you can always just kind of untwist it and then dump it out, so I don't really need the drain. I'm gonna mount the can up on the driver's side here using this bolt with the bracket that is provided, although I need to drill a new hole right here in the middle. It's going to sit somewhere here like that, nice and tucked out of the way. Now the line is going to go across like literally over here. I feel like once everything is secured and nothing has to come out for a long while, the 2-10 line that goes across, it's really not going to bother anybody. So I'm going to mount it up right here. So let's go ahead and drill this hole out so we can put a 10 mil through it. In the BullBoost Dash 10 line kit, it came with 2 straights and 2 90s, except we are missing one fitting. That fitting is actually on the return line from the turbo to the PLM timing chain tensioner cover on the side of the engine over there. The only thing I have left in my bin is this 45 with the red collar, and we're gonna have to utilize it, but I think it's gonna work out, and let me explain why. You guys saw we installed the catch can, and these fittings right here are literally offsetted and they're not parallel with each other. So with these 2 fittings here, let me show you guys. This 45 would go on here, and this 90 would go on there. If you look at both of these fittings pointing downward, they both run in line with each other, and I think that'll work out perfectly because they can just tie in together and run straight to the vented oil cap. So let's go ahead and get these fittings off and build these lines. A subscriber dropped by to give me this hose cutter, and we're gonna find out if this thing cuts through stainless or not. Okay, not quite. Not quite. Wear your PPEs. And that is our first line. BullBoost catch can with the PLM vented oil cap and the dash 10 hoses are completely installed, and now we have a catch can setup for the turbo element build. If you guys are interested in the same BullBoost catch can here or the shorter version, be sure to hit the link in the description below and use discount code YStatic to save 10% off. It helps me more than you guys know, and I truly appreciate it. Aside from that, I think we are done for right now. I'm gonna go do some other things here off camera, and we are gonna continue tomorrow when the water lines show up for the turbo. And that is literally the last part that we need to install on the car before it can go home. So with that being said, we'll see you guys in a second. We have our water lines and fittings for the turbo. This is quite an interesting box. Cut away from yourself, not towards yourself. Okay, that wasn't as loud, but in this bag here, we have all of the fittings that we're gonna need to install to the turbo. Right here, we have the fittings to the turbo. This is a 14 to -6 for one side, and on the other side, we have a 14 to a banjo -6, only because it is really tight in the back of the turbo, so we opt to use this. We have 4 fittings here to make 2 lines. We got 3 straights and 1 45, and we'll explain why we have a 45 when we get to the install. And then we have these 2 here, which is a 5/16 barb to -6 male. I'm gonna show you guys why we have this barb end here. I think it's gonna help simplify the water line installation. And we have some -6 nylon braided hose here. This is about 2.5 to 3 feet, and we also have some heat sleeving to protect that hose around the turbo. Let's get to the installation. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take off this hard line for the brake booster vacuum, and the reason for that is because there's a bracket here that's going to be in way of the water line, so I'm going to cut that off, and I'm also going to cut this one off here. So let's take that off. I'm gonna start with the front of the turbo, which is this fitting right here. This is a 14 to a -6, and that is this guy here. Now you want to run steel and not aluminum or brass, because those can break over time inside any threaded you know, holes that are vibrating a lot. So this right here is steel with a copper crush washer, and we're gonna thread this into the turbo before we build our line. So let me try to take this out with one hand. Never mind. Man, I knew this was gonna be an issue with the turbo blanket in place, but we can make it work. We can make it work. Give it a nice little snug tug. Got that fitting installed right there. The next one we're gonna install here is the 5/16 barb to male -6. And this was pretty cool. Brian actually ran me through this, and the way I had done this on the wagon when I had the ball bearing GT3582 was I ran the water line from the turbo, and then instead of putting a hose end on the hose side, I just stuck the hose into the barb and then crank it down with a worm clamp. Instead, we're gonna be shoving the factory hose, which is this coolant line here. There's one on the top, and then there's one on the bottom, which previously belonged to the idle air control valve. But because we're using the B-Series throttle body, we don't have an idle control valve. So we're gonna use both these water lines for the ins and outs for the turbo. So pretty much, we're gonna be putting the 5/16 coolant hose right into that barb, and then this is gonna be the AN fitting that's gonna go all the way to the other one off the turbo. Hopefully that makes sense. So right here, 5/16 hose, I think I'm gonna shorten it down to bring this hose lower, because right now it's currently higher than the fitting on the turbo, and it's a little bit higher than the upper coolant hose to the radiator. So I'm gonna pull this completely off and trim it down. 5/16 hose should just go right into here. Okay, that's gonna be really freaking hard to shove in there, but okay, give me 1 second. I put some WD-40 inside. I took the wrench and I turned it as I was pressuring in turned it until it went flush. So this is a push lock fitting, and it's going to be nice and secured by the way this is designed, but because this is a boosted application, I am going to put the factory hose clamp on it just to secure it. I guess you can call it extra insurance. And on the opposite side, I am going to use a worm clamp because the stock pressure clamp just wasn't enough, because I was still able to turn this around once it was clamped down. So now I'm going to go ahead and just install this onto that top barb. Now that we have the 5/16 coolant hose reconnected with the worm clamp, you can see that this -6 points straight to the -6 that's on the turbo, and this is pretty much a straight shot. -6 to -6 straight. Let's build that line real quick. Now that we have the 5/16 coolant line connected back onto the barb with the worm clamp, you can see that this barb to -6 is pointing directly to the -6 that's on the turbo. Now we can just go ahead and measure this and build our line. Let's do that now. Now that we have the 5/16 coolant line reconnected, you can see the barb to -6 is now pointing directly to the -6 that's on the turbo. Now we can measure the distance from here to there, and let's build that line. Yep, this is our line. Now before I install this, I'm gonna install a heat sleeve to prevent this from getting hot around the turbo. I took an 11/16 and I shaved it down and it works. Now we can push the heat sleeve all the way up to the AM line, so that way the water doesn't get all boiling hot. Okay, so now working to the back of the turbo, we have a banjo style 14 to -6, and the reason for that is because it is just way too tight in the back between the firewall to like really put a tool back there. So Brian recommended I did it this way, and with this fitting, the banjo is going to be pointing up, and then it's going to go into a 45, which is going to go over the cartridge right next to the feed line, and then kind of loop around the valve cover to the other port that's on the water pipe. So he said to build a line and everything first before cranking this down, because you would want to connect the 45 to the banjo before the 14 mil to the turbo, so that way I don't fight with trying to put a wrench in between there, because like I said, not a lot of space for a tool. So I think we're going to do this half first. Got the second AN line made, and it was hard to show you guys because of how tight knit the area is. Look at my freaking arm. It's like all freaking like red and stuff, trying to fit my big hands back there. But we have the banjo already attached to the 45 here, and where's my fitting at? So this right here is the 14 mil that goes through the banjo, and then we have a second crush washer, and now we have to get this installed to the turbo. Snug tug. All right guys, so that is our water line. We have them all secured, everything worm clamp, everything tucked away, heat sleeving is on, and now we're gonna bleed the cooling system again. We did have a leak yesterday right here, so we switched over to a worm clamp, and the car does get a little hot, so I know for sure that there's air in the system. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the funnel on here and then turn the car on so we can bleed it out one last time. That sounds so good. The engine moves around way too much. But he is gonna get motor mounts. And 1320 Performance has them for elements, as well as a rear diff mount. I want to see if it's still enabled. Oh, Nomis, you left it on, bud. So that right there, guys, is the last look at the engine bay before the Element goes home. So we are going to wrap up this video right here, guys, and my buddy SI is going to pick up the car tomorrow, actually, because he's got work and he won't get off until a little bit later. I wanted to do a breakdown of everything we've done to the turbo element build, but I think I'm just going to wait until he gets the exhaust done and come back, and then we'll do a full walk around. But if you guys want to go back to every segment of this build, I will put a playlist together from the first day we got it to this video. Didn't really see too much of a thorough element build on YouTube, other than a few that have turbo the elements but kind of skipped around and kind of showed you the end product when it was all said and done. I hope this element build on this channel give you element owners some inspiration if you guys wanted to do something like this. Shout out to BullBoost Performance for the catch can in today's video. If you guys are interested in the same product, link in the description below, and use discount code YStatic, save 10% off. It helps me more than you guys know. And big shout out to B&R Fittings for all the fittings we need to plumb the coolant lines to the turbo. I am going to wrap up the video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this update. I think it's the last update to the element build. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for, I don't want to tease you guys, but I have a new car that I'm going to be bringing here to the garage soon, but I need to do a lot of things in between these next couple of days before that car is ready to show up here. So if you guys want to see what that is, man, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.